event, both boat race and boat race. You'll start from that position with your paddles up. Are you ready? On your mark, get set.
This is a film about men and boys, but it's also about our lives. Will and I are in our early 20s now. Our hometowns are in the Midwest. Like most men our age, we're at that turning point in our lives where we're trying to find out what we want to do and how we're going to do it. Women have begun to redefine their role in society, to question the choices they have. But what choices are open to men growing up in America?
We decided to make a film reaching back into boyhood. We wanted to talk to the parents and teachers who helped form us as we grew. We wanted to talk to other men and boys about their lives and feelings. In other words, we wanted to re-examine the roots of our masculinity. Many things we found weren't surprising. Boys still climb the same trees and walk down the same railroad tracks. They dream the same dreams with their friends. Most of our memories were happy ones, but we were surprised to find that while many things were the same, now we see them differently.
I think that the children do model themselves after their parents or after someone that they're close to.
In what way?
Well, if they like somebody or they've seen them do something that they like, or if they bring home a lot of money, this means a lot to kids too. They really like to show off more than girls. Girls giggle and the boys like to hit and grab the ball and make the girls squeal. I think they sort of like to boss, maybe. Kind of like it is when they get older.
Girls are sissies, and we don't boys play football and they get around. And we don't want to play jump rope. Yeah, we don't want to play with girls' dolls and stuff. And diapers.
Are there any guys around here who are sissies?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
He's a sissy. He's a sissy. He's a sissy. Bobby's a sissy. Bobby Smith is a sissy because every time when you look around, he's playing with girls.
Would you rather be a boy or a girl?
A boy.
How come?
Well, you know, I watch these movie screens about Tarzan and Nanu. You know, they just scream out, and that's all.
Do you think it's harder being a girl than it is a boy?
Yes.
Why?
Boys get to do more things than girls. They get to climb trees and, you know, cut the grass and everything.
Girls aren't supposed to do that kind of stuff?
No, I don't get to do it.
Why?
My dad wouldn't let me. I think men do more work than ladies because they got to go out and work and lift up stuff, and all ladies got to do is sit down, clean up a little bit around the house, and they eat and have fun and stuff. While men go out working all night and all day and stuff, and all they do is go out and play. I think girls do more work than men do because they wash clothes and cook and set the table, and men don't appreciate it. They just lay down and just let the girls do all the work around the house. Yeah.
Why would you rather be a girl than a guy then?
Because I wouldn't like to go down to a hot factory.
I think the boy's the breadwinner. Maybe I expect more out of the boys than I do the girls. Maybe that's it.
As I was growing up, a lot was expected of me because I was a boy. The adults around me often used words like breadwinner. I knew I had to prove myself. Like most guys, the two of us looked to the future as an exciting time when we could do all of the things we dreamed about. But how were we going to get there? We knew that outwardly we had to act confident, even if we felt small and insecure. When we looked at ourselves in the mirror, we somehow never quite measured up to the men in the magazines. While girls read comics of love and romance, we read of superheroes who battled for power, comparing ourselves to their rippling biceps and quick intellect. They were handsome, strong, cool. The Saturday matinees and the TV we watched played an important part in answering our questions. How is a man supposed to act? What is a man supposed to be?
She got a nice body?
She's got a body that would fit in just about any centerfold you want to mention.
That's good, huh?
It's very good.
You are a super cool dude out there on the floor. You seem never to show any emotions. Seems as though nothing ever bothered you, and you never get upset. Do you? Does anything ever bother you? Do you ever get upset on the floor?
I think inwardly I am. You know, I get very excited, but facially I show no expression. This is just a psychological thing.
We ever met before?
No.
Then what's our quarrel?
No quarrel. They say you're faster than me.
The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat.
Then the winners of all three of those will participate for the title of the most perfectly developed man, Mr. Universe.
Jigsaw 2, 10 and 9, join on me for strafing run. We have arrived.
My father, he likes to go fishing and stuff like that. Well, boxing sometimes on TV. And I like dancing, and, you know, I don't think he would. And I like gymnastics, and, you know, he's never been in it or anything. I think he just sort of wants me to do what I want to do, but he'd rather have me be something like a lawyer.
How do your parents feel about dancing?
Well, they wouldn't laugh at me, you know, and really get real sarcastic, but, you know, I'm still a little embarrassed about it, and I'm not sure how they'd react. Like when I danced for the variety show and other places, you know, you hear someone backstage will say, did you hear the guys out in the audience, you know, hollering stuff and things like that. And so I think that, you know, the people that are watching the film or whatever, they all think the same thing, and, you know, that sort of got me down. Think that, you know, it's sissy or something like that.
Why do you think that they feel that way? I mean, the people who'd be watching the film.
Because it's not the so-called typical masculine thing to do. But, you know, at school, at home, you know, you're under pressures. You know, do the masculine things. And I just think that a man is someone who'll stand up for what he thinks is right, regardless of what other people think.
People ever imply that you're homosexual?
Yeah. You know, when you're dancing or something, you know, you hear that a lot.
Why do you think that that's associated with dancing?
Well, because you see a guy, you know, and he's so free and loose. He's not real big, like a football player. You know, he's not trying to kill someone, or something like that.
like to kill. I like to play football. I like to kill the opponents, you know. Yeah. When they come running at you, tear their head off.
What do you like about that?
That's the game of football.
Yeah.
Game where you just, you know, kill everybody.
Why do you want to kill them?
Either you kill them or they kill you.
Do you think the other team feels that way too?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. What do you want to do when you get out of high school?
Go to college.
And plan on playing football in college?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I want to get to college by scholarship.
Sports, especially for blacks, have always been a way of getting out of the ghetto, out of the trap that you're in. You know, even though you, as a child, you don't consciously, think of that. I'm gonna be a basketball player so I can get out of the ghetto. It's like you.
Jim Dunn is an author and social researcher who teaches at Antioch College. Jim has worked with men and boys of all ages and from different economic backgrounds.
It's like you're getting this double message all the time growing up, On the one hand, you're hearing, put your shoulder to the wheel and work hard, and you can leap all the hurdles and become president someday. And if you don't do that, it's because something's wrong with you, okay? Then on the other hand, you're meeting up with all of these forces.
What do you think you're going to be like when you're a man?
Be that responsible to, if I have a house, to keep the rent paid and all the work around it done and everything, and keep the gas going. And if I had a house, keep it paid for, a car and all that, keep them clean and everything, keep myself neat and everything.
So what happens is you say, okay, I am somebody, and I want the world to know that I am somebody. So when you're growing up, one of the things that you need is to be seen, So if you have like the sharpest car on the block, the Superfly, the Hog, the big Cadillac with the big gangster white walls and a big hat turned, it's the same thing. And it was really about being seen.
When I get big, I wish I'll have a pretty blue car of my own with, and a pretty blue Cadillac. And like for it to be clean all the time, keep it clean as I can, all the time. The reason why I want one of these, so people think more about me, think more of me, that, think that if I take care of my car, then I'll take care of myself and everything. I'm not be clean, they see my car, and they see me clean, they'll know that I have money and everything.
Somebody sees you driving down the road in one of these machines, they look at it and they think that, well, it seems like they know that it just took you a lot of time and effort to put it together, and wow, that guy must really be something to have all that in the palm of his hand and be able to drive it around and show it off. I don't know, I really like it because it makes me feel masculine. You get a lot of looks from the girls and a lot of looks from everybody. It gives me a lot of satisfaction just to drive around and have people look at me and laugh at me and wave at me. Even the older people, they sort of look and smile and shake their head a little bit, like in sort of amazement, God, that kid right there is driving that car.
What about girls?
I don't know, they like it. They'd like to hop in it and go around and ride for riding the block. Drive down the road and see girls walking up and down the road, and they look at you and smile at you and wave at you, and they do all sorts of things. I don't know, maybe they just think that it gives you strength or something to handle a car like that.
And then you come into the dating and you're going steady and so forth, and some of you do and some of you don't. Today, again, you get into the whole cost, and you girls, of course, you got it made there. Poor fella, he's stuck again. He's going to have to get the car, and he's going to have to pay the bills or furnish the transportation, movies, and the hamburgers and so forth. Should he pay for all of this, or should some of you help? Should you split it? What do you think, Eric?
Mr. Wiseman teaches classes in health and social living at Springfield South High School. As head basketball coach, it's part of his job to develop a winning team. It is his responsibility to prepare young men for the real world that lies ahead.
The man is still going to have to be the one primarily responsible for being able to give things that are needed within the family. And I'm talking about not the love and this thing, but the financial obligation. I still think the primary burden is on his shoulders. And consequently, he's going to have to try to prepare himself so when he does go out that he can be able to meet this obligation that he has. All right, you go out and whatever it is you do the best that you can to your ability, and you're competitive in what you're doing. Then consequently, this individual, I think, is going to end up in life being a success. It's the same thing as a young boy or girl sitting in a classroom and can be satisfied with receiving a failing grade. I think this is a failure. I think if anyone can say whatever it is that they're participating in, if they lose and it doesn't bother them, then I think they're going to be basically a failure.
Just tip them over. Hold on. One ball does it all. Oh, tip them over, you pick it out. Let's hit them.
None of us wanted to be failures. Like the other guys, I wanted to be successful, to compete and to win. Most of the guys we met were working hard at being men, being tough, being seen, being right, having money. Adolescence was a difficult time for us. It was really all about proving yourself.
Watch you now, teddy bears for love affairs, alligators for your sweet potatoes.
Watch him now, here goes one. Gonna do it to it. Aw, come on, you gotta hit him.
Then came the most difficult test, women. Anxiously, we wanted their approval. We didn't really know what to do, but couldn't show it. No matter how insecure we felt, we somehow weren't supposed to hesitate. We were expected to take the lead.
Then came the pressures to have sex. Why was virginity for girls something to be protected, while for us it was considered a burden? How many of us lied about our sexual relationships to prove ourselves to our friends? We always felt the pressure to be getting it, and if we weren't, to be looking for it. Women then became objects, something to be had.
There's basically two types of girls here, or two groups. You can put them in two groups. This type of girl is looking for, like, the quick pickup, you know, and go back, have your night in the room and everything, and forget it. And then there's the other type of girl who is probably a freshman who is looking for a guy to have for the whole year, you know, like on a steady basis. All right, those are two types. I'm looking for the quick pick-me-up.
All the girls on my floor, we felt like cattle, you know. We walked down the steps from up in the Union, and the guys were just standing there in a complete line, writing down names and asking questions and stuff, and completely rating you.
But the freshman guys, you didn't see any freshman guys doing that. Yes, I did. All the freshman guys were just as nervous. They'd all stand in groups, they'd say, God, you know, should I go over there?
I had one guy walk up to me and say, hi, what's your name? Do you want to go to bed with me? And I've had other guys that walk up and they say, do you want to go out? And they just ask you all different types of things. But they start out with, how do you like Wittenberg? Are you a freshman? Do you want to go see my room?
You want to go see my room?
No, I'm serious. I'm really serious. That's what happens.
Well, I'm serious too.
And until they find out what type of person you are, they'll push for that.
I guess this interview is pointless then, because that's why I'm here, to get a girl to go to bed with me.
Well, you gotta, you know, they've gotta, can't just come up and say, sure, you know, I'll go off with you or something, you know, to do whatever. It doesn't have to be sex. You gotta play little games and, you know, get to know them and that, and be sly, and they've gotta play the games too, because that's what society wants. You know, like they can't just jump right at it, or if they do, you know, then they get a bad reputation. So they've got to sort of play it cool and hold off, and I guess the guys just have to try to put the line on as many as they can, hoping they get one.
What was it we were looking for in our relationships with the opposite sex? Was it a feeling of superiority, or sharing feelings of tenderness and respect? Looking back, it seems the quantity of our relationships was more important than the quality of the feelings we found with a woman. How many of us felt inadequate when compared to Joe Namath, Hugh Hefner, or the guy down the street who claimed he scored with every woman he dated? Why do so many magazines and so much of media promote the ideal male as being cool and unemotional, as someone who doesn't need other people? And how do these ideas affect the satisfaction we might find in a relationship with a woman?
For the two of us, our boyhood and our adolescence are memories. Society expects us to settle down and assume the adult male role. We can no longer play at being men. Now that the serious business of life begins. How will our manhood be measured, and what kind of life do we have to look forward to?
I pronounce that you're husband and wife together.
Has to be the provider, he has to be the hunter. He has to be the one that goes out and fills the family larder, if you prefer. He's the one that makes sure that the kids get enough shoes to get to school. He pays the bills.
Bob Quessel is a talk master at radio station WAVI in Dayton. On his show People Power, he can potentially reach an audience of 1.5 million. We heard words like his when we were boys, and today as men we still hear them.
Man goes out and he gets a job, and he's competing with someone else. He's competing with someone else for a better job. Once he gets that better job, if he's any kind of a man at all, he gets out there and he decides that this isn't good enough. He wants to get a better job. A man has a specific goal, and the goal is the dollar sign.
Do you think this competition is good?
Yes. Oh, no question about it. Because throughout life, we're competing with each other. There has to be competition. Without competition, there's nothing. If you win, then you're a better person than someone else. It's been this way since time began.
It's been a struggle since this country started for a man to get to the place to where he feels secure. You know, everybody wants security, and I don't know just quite how you ever get it, but one nice way to have is, you know, is to have a lot of money, and the more money you have, well, the more secure you are. That's the American way.
Gerald Carpenter works at Dayton Tire and Rubber. His paycheck goes towards supporting his family. In most families in America, the male is the primary breadwinner. There are 70 million working men in this country who, despite their differences in jobs and salaries, whether their collar is blue or white, have much in common. Their combined labor keeps this country moving.
You know, you're always wondering, is it worth it? You know, is putting up with this crap every day really worth it? Regardless of how different it is from day to day, it's still a repetitive thing. They just want my labor, you know, that's all. Not much more. Primarily, I'm just an investment, you know. It's how much they invest in me and as to how much I can earn back for them. I don't think they care what emotionally satisfies you. I think they're concerned with what'll pacify you. They're concerned with, is the job I'm on making the most for the company that they could be making from my time. You know, they don't sit around at these board meetings and talk about, you know, how are we going to be really effective in making things better for the whole world, you know, unless there's some way to make something out of it. Now, before we get too far off in that field, now remember, now I'm just a working man. I don't understand all that goes on. Don't ask me how they do it. Don't ask me why they do it. You know, I don't know if I could tell. I don't know anybody in that position, you know, so I can only tell you how it looks to me, you know, from what I'm able to sit back and see.
I'm glad to get the hell out of here.
I'll keep my nose on the grindstone, work hard every day. I might get a little tired on the weekend. After I draw my pay, I'll go back working. As long as my two hands are fit to use. I'll drink my beer in a tavern, sing a little bit of these working man blues. Here comes that working man.
Well, ever since he's worked there, it's been 6 and 7 days, you know. So he's, you know, working almost every day. You know, a lot of times I'd like it to be just 5 days, but nowadays you can't even live on a 5-day week schedule, you know. Times, you know, you're glad to get the money, but the money doesn't make up for the time lost.
Beverly, do you ever think of going out and perhaps getting a job to work to help Gerald out in a certain way?
He'd rather I didn't work.
Why do you think he'd rather?
Well, he thinks the woman's place is in the home.
No, I think
no.
My wife's place is in the home. That's, you know, because, well, that's just the way I feel. You know, I think there's just too many things that a woman with children has to do, should do, and she can't do them. She can't split her time up that way. You know, I'm not going to go work 10, 12 hours and come home and scrub floors. You know, I'm just not going to do it. Now, maybe that's the thing to do now, but I'm not going to do it. You know, just flat not going to.
The way it should be is that man, first of all, should be the one who makes the final decision, because man is more or less involved with the financial aspect of keeping his family going. It's the woman's job to help support the man. By that I mean backup support. I think it's sad where they are trying now to reverse roles that have been spelled out in history. I'll go back to the Bible. First there was Adam. Then from the rib of Adam came Eve.
starting way back. You know, you have a situation where most men are conditioned to believe they are the authority to begin with, as it relates to the family, to the woman, that the man sees himself as needing to be in control, on top of the situation. If you can't be on top at the job, you find some place where you can be on top. You know, and you can always find some place where you can be on top, even if you go to the store and buy a dog, and kick the dog's ass. You can always find some place where you can be on top, you know? And that comes out of insecurity. The need to be on top comes out of insecurity, you know, and comes out of a competitiveness, because, see, there's really no such a thing as the top. That's an illusion.
There may be no such thing as the top, but as men, we've been encouraged to gain a sense of importance by feeling that we are in a better position than someone else. But what is the price of this self-importance? What type of insecurities does this make men feel, always having to strive for the top? We decided that the best person to talk with about this subject would be someone who talks with men of all ages and knows their innermost feelings. He is not a psychiatrist. Jim Kohler has been a barber for 26 years. He told us that for many men, the only time they got any touching was when they came to a barber.
I find that they'll open up in this 20 minutes that it takes to cut their hair, that they will tell us that many things they won't even tell their father confessor, perhaps. Their relationship at home, their response to their job, or their foreman, superintendent, or what have you.
What do you think gives most of the men who come in ego satisfaction?
A man will tell you about his promotion, his thrill in his job, and maybe for vain reasons, and he'll tell you his pension, size of his pension check, and material possessions, I think.
What do you think it means to succeed?
Well, you have goals set up. Each individual's depending on what their goals happen to be. I hope to be able to give my wife and my family the higher standard of living, we'll say. If we want to drive a new car, if we want to live in a $20,000 home, this is what I'm striving for. And if you reach these goals, although it takes a lot of work, then I think you've been successful.
They'll invariably tell you about that new car they've purchased for their home and describe it in great detail. The size and is it decor? You know, the new shag carpet throughout, or the size of their freezer. And
Do you think most of them feel satisfied with what they've done in their life?
No, I don't find satisfaction in most people. Really, I don't.
Most men in this society really see themselves as failures, you know. And the reason is, and it's a competitive thing again, because always someone down the street who has a nicer car, you know, has an extra room, you know, in their house. So they strive to be better than that person, only to find that there's someone around the corner, you know, who has two cars, and both of them are nicer than theirs, you know. And so out of that comes a frustration and a sense of failure.
And I wasn't too satisfied with what I was doing for a long while. Well, let me say it wasn't so much what I was doing as to what I wasn't doing. There were some things that I wanted to try to do. And I just didn't have the courage, I guess, to go ahead and just do it. I wasn't too satisfied with the living I was making in a factory. I thought I should be able to do better. I'd come home with things on my mind. And I don't know how Bev put up with me sometimes. And you asked me earlier if I drank, and I do, and sometimes too much.
I don't think men ever let other men get to know them that well. I think with men sometimes it's considered a weakness to let your emotions get the best of you like that, or to even let some things bother you. About the only time I think a man really seriously discusses his emotions is if he's lucky enough to have an awful close friend, or he talks about them to a woman. I think if a man can, can get to a point to where he can say really truly he has one friend, that's about all he's, that's about all he can expect.
Do men seem to talk about friendships the same way as they remembered them when they were young?
Boy, that's a good question. I wonder how friendly you are with the men you've worked beside for 25 years.
What do you think about the way men relate to each other? On what level do you think they appreciate each other?
Well, I think they'd probably be frightened to open up for fear it reflect on their manhood or lack of maleness, perhaps. They're afraid of intimacy, I think, expressing their deeper thoughts.
Why do you think that men tend to hide their emotions?
Well, I suppose this goes back to some of our old ideas that a man doesn't get emotional, at least outwardly, because if he does, why, he's a sissy and all of this and that, which is no real reason for it, except somebody tagged this connotation to it a long time ago, and here he is still stuck with it. I think inwardly, probably the man is maybe more emotional really than a woman, but he doesn't express them.
How do you feel? Well, when was the last time you cried?
Long time ago, I guess. I don't know. I said that men have the emotion. I suppose now I'm not from the standpoint of the he. I'm not an emotional individual. I don't cry.
I don't think they want to express their true emotions. And I've dealt with some of these people for many, many years.
True.
I'm for the liberation of all mankind. That's a broad statement, I know. We should all be free to make our, exercise our options, as they say. But I don't think the majority of people have the opportunity to exercise options and choices for economic reasons, for one, and fear for change. But how do we show we're real? And what is male and female? We talk about persons now, and we're getting away from the sexist symbols. I know with my boy, I kiss and hug him and tell him I love him, and I don't think this will affect his maleness at all.
The more I talk with the men in this film, the closer I felt to them. That's probably because we have so much in common. But I can see that many men aren't at all satisfied with their lives. I've found that much of traditional masculinity is destructive, and I want to change my life. But I've come to realize that society enforces this type of manhood, and I know that changing personally is not enough.
I keep thinking of Gerald's words when he said that society isn't set up to satisfy us. I think that's true. But then, what is it set up for? And why are these destructive roles perpetuated? I believe it's because an aggressive, competitive, profit-oriented society requires this type of man. But do we really want this kind of society? We don't feel it's in our interest to live this way, but it is in our interest to change it.